Hello everyone! Today we're touching on something else from levels that might be confusing at times. So this time we're checking the some settings on the tiles that are kind of obscure. So let's place a tile and see what I'm talking about. Let's take this guitar. So if I open my level settings, let's set this up as a regular level tile. So overhead, height, this is your setup for any kind of standard floor in levels. Now we have some settings here that might be confusing. We will check show even when below, and we will check is basement and don't hide this tile in the fog. So what is show even when below? What this does, I'm gonna try to make it as simple as possible. When you are below this tile, so when this floor is above you, it will behave basically as a standard better roof style. That is the gist of it. I will try to show. So let's say this tile is bottom 10, top 20 or 19 or whatever, doesn't really matter. We take one of our tokens here. So as you would expect, no tile here. I go to 10, I see my tile, right? But let's say for some reason I want to see this tile. Now we can check this setting. So if we go in here, we enable show even when below and we update. We go here, we see the tile. But and when we go under it, it disappears. When we go above and we go over it, it behaves like a floor. But when you're under it, it behaves like an overhead tile. Now, we made a big mistake here that you might have not noticed because it's not very clear. But let's say I put a wall here. Now I don't see this anymore. And you might ask, what the heck is happening here? Reaper, what the fuck is this? Very simple. Since the tile is in hide mode, you probably know, if you follow the better roofs and all the stuff, that hide mode basically works like this. If your sight rays hit the inside of the polygon, the tile will be hidden. So at the moment, the sight rays for this token are exactly hitting that. So I'm gonna just make a drawing too. But these are basically the sight rays for my token, and they are colliding with this wall. So since this point here is inside the polygon, the tile will be hidden. So what we do about it? Very simple. We simply change the mode. So whenever you have a tile like this, you most likely will what? Show. We get show, we change this, and now everything works as expected. This will behave as a regular overhead tile. So it will behave like it's like a mixed behavior. You will see that it will behave as a better roof tile, but it will not be revealed in the fog. So now that we have this knowledge, let's see some other stuff about this. When you enable show even when below, this settings becomes relevant. This is the max elevation difference. So right now it's set to infinity. So let's see what happens. I'm here, and this might be like an overhang or something. Like a platform, suspended platform. If I go to -20, I still see this. And maybe I don't want that. Like, I want that to be specifically visible only from here to 0. So what happens is that I use this max elevation difference. So let's say I put it to 10. Now, from here I'm seeing it. Let's go to -1. We still see that. Let's go to -6. Still see it. -8. And it disappears. This is because it will take into account this number. So basically, when my relative position to the tile from this number is 10 or less, I don't see it anymore. The calculation is quite simple once you understand it. Basically, the bottom is 10, right? So 10, right now this token is virtually at 7 regarding tile visibility. So if my token is at 7, if I do 7 minus 10, it's minus 3. So basically, if I go, we saw that I'm actually giving you wrong math probably, but let's go to minus 7. So now at minus 7, since we are 7 tall, so we are minus 7 plus the max elevation difference 10. So right now is exactly in the range. So if we just go like minus 1, now it's not visible anymore. So basically that's the calculation you have to do. I understand it's kind of weird. There is logic behind it, but basically this is how this kind of tiles work. That's what this max elevation difference is for. And this will basically force a tile that is not a roof to kind of act like a roof, but give you a range. Like, this is a very complicated setting to make those specific type of floors, platforms and stuff like that, that usually they are complicated to make. You cannot make them with regular floors, you cannot make them with roofs. And if you have something like this that needs to be on top of stuff, remember that if you set this to infinity, it will be set to roof. But if you don't want this tile, let's say this is a platform, like a wooden platform, right? Let's change it like this, so it's more like a platform. So this technically would be a roof. But let's say we don't want a ceiling on this. We can just use like this number. This will make it virtually a roof, but without all the added stuff to the roofs. This is another neat trick that you can use. Then let's go to another setting. So let's remove this. This can go back to infinity. Now we can check is basement. What does this do? The name is quite deceiving. It was made for basement, but it doesn't do only that. So let's see why these settings exist. Basically, if we go, let's say this is a basement. So this goes from minus 10 to minus 20. Now, if we pick this guy, you will see that this tile, let's remove this wall because it's kind of annoying, but this tile is visible. And you might say, wait, why is it visible? In levels, as you might know, anything that is below you, either the floor you're directly on or anything below it, will always be rendered in a stack in the order that in the elevation order. So if I have something else, it will be shown. Now, the problem here is very simple. Because this that you're seeing here is the background of the map, or a background tile, doesn't matter, the background is always rendered at the bottom for levels. So levels ignores all the bottom stuff, and it always renders it at the bottom. We usually tend to imagine that the background is the 0 elevation, but for levels it's actually the minus infinity elevation. For this reason, this tile is shown because it's rendering in a stack in order, and the bottom thing is always the background. You have two ways to solve the basement problem, let's call it. So let's say we have some kind of house here. I'm gonna take this like low resolution thing. So let's say this is our house and this is the basement. Okay, so if our house is an overhead tile, so it's a regular like level style, let's set it to hide, let's set it to fade, top 10, bottom 0, right? This is our ground floor. Regular level tile, we go to this guy, everything is fine, we don't see the basement at all, right? The problem comes when you either have a background or your basement kind of pops over. So let's say our basement is slightly like this. Now we see the basement because it's all rendered in a stack. And here is when the settings comes in, because when we enable this basement, now we don't see it anymore. So how does this magic work? What does it do? The setting is actually really stupid and really simple. What it tells it is it doesn't really matter that it's a basement. What it does, it tells it, okay, this floor, show it only if I am in the exact range of the floor. Never render it below me, unless I'm exactly inside that range. And because this tile is in the -10 to -20, we will only ever see this floor if we are between -10 and -20. So if we go to -20, wabam, now we see this. And this is like, you can use this in other like creative ways if you have some kind of strange ideas. I don't know, but let's say this tile is not on negative elevation, but I can enable it on this one as well. This is 0, 10. Let's enable east basement. Now, if we go to 10, we don't see it anymore because we are above it. We need to be inside the range. So this is what this settings actually does, like what it does behind the scenes. And to finish it off, don't hide this tile in the fog. So we're gonna need some walls for this to work. So what is this doing? Basically, anything on this thing, I actually need fog exploration enabled to see any effect of this setting. Okay, so let's explore. I'm exploring everything, right? But you can see that this tile is still not explored. So this is when these settings come in. As you know, Levels has this thing called advanced fog. It's not really advanced, it's kind of more stupid fog. It's enabled by default. And what it does, it basically disables fog exploration on any level's floor. This is because I've already made like an explanation on this. You can find it in the Discord channel, in the pings, in the troubleshooting channel. But to keep it short, because I cannot do volumetric fog or have multiple fogs on a scene, one, because Foundry doesn't really allow that, it's very complex to do. Second, even if I do it, the performance would be completely shit. So I don't think this problem will like ever be solved unless something miraculous happens. But the solution is that the shape of the tile will be imprinted in the unexplored fog. So the result is that the tile will never store exploration, because there is only one exploration. This is artificially, it's taking a black square of this, like it's taking this tile, it makes a copy, a black copy, and it makes it, it prints it on top of the fog. So there is a giant black square here, but part of it is revealed by my vision. That's all this is doing. So what does this setting do? It's, at this point, you probably know, I disable it, and that effect is no longer present. So now it's no longer black. But keep in mind that if you go into any other level, this will always happen. You can see that on this tile is happening as well. And the problem is that if you don't have this on, if you explore the bottom floor of a building, you will explore the same area of fog in any other area going on top. So if you explore the full first floor, you go to the second floor, it's fully explored. You go to the roof, it's fully explored. You go to the 10th floor, fully explored, because there is only one fog exploration layer. This setting is good if maybe you are building a home base for your party and you don't really care that stuff is revealed because it's their own base, so it looks nicer if they see it. It could be very relevant. For example, I usually disable it on roofs because usually you don't really care if a roof is explored. It doesn't really matter because you're showing it anyways with better roofs. So that's kind of what this is for. So remember that this is a setting and you can use it if you want. This was a kind of an overview on the more obscure tile settings. I hope this was helpful and see you next time.